With so many different perspectives and voices that have emerged over the 3 days of the CentreCourt MBA Festival, a value system is something that has been repeated both institutionally, schools, their sense of purpose, what they stand for, and I think particularly alumni, and how they then look to follow a particular path and the values that help to define that. And to explore that idea and much more, I'm delighted to welcome Jake Abel. Jake is a Wisconsin Business School graduate from the class of 2009. Of course, went into business school when the economy was strong and came out to a very different environment, but built himself a great career with Nestle, working on brand management and marketing, and has spent nearly 6 years with Delta Airlines. He's the director of international marketing. So Jake, thank you very much for being with us. Perhaps you could tell us a little bit about those 10, 11 years coming out of school and how Wisconsin has helped to shape your career path.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for the opportunity. As you mentioned, going into business school in 2007 was a very different economy than when we came out in 2009. And as I was thinking about why I wanted to go into business school, I have a liberal arts education background before Wisconsin, so a small liberal arts school in the Midwest, and I think that's really where I kind of really enjoyed the humanities and the full kind of well-rounded education, and I think a lot of my character was built. But I also knew, as I was looking at the type of jobs that I wanted to have, and that weren't just kind of with regional companies, but with larger companies. I also knew that I needed to, if that was kind of the art of marketing, I needed the science. And so I've always kind of said I wanted to marry the art and science of marketing together. And that's really what I was looking for in my MBA program. And so was super fortunate in that, I found the Wisconsin MBA program, and they have a very, a number of centers that are specialized on whether it's brand and product management, finance, market research, et cetera. And so they're pretty small cohorts and pretty tight relationships with industry leaders and those companies. And so for me, that's exactly what I was looking for, is a bit more one-on-one experience with executives from the consumer goods companies that I had an eye on, as well as the opportunity to kind of operate in a brand team, kind of a function, even during business school, and really focus on going deep on that function that I was looking to understand. It was a fascinating experience, and to be honest, I really feel lucky that the tight-knit group and the tight-knit relationships that we had with the industry are kind of what allowed me to come out with a role and that internship that turned into a full-time offer. It was a world where I think going in, most students were coming out with 5, 6 offers for full-time employment, and coming out, you were happy with one. You took it and you loved it. But I was very fortunate that my internship at Nestle had translated into a full-time offer, and so started my career there. I think in terms of how that's similar to today, the one thing that I'd say in terms of, for those that are either thinking about business school, now is a great time to invest your time. Your opportunity cost is clearly lower in going back to business school. But for those coming out, it's also just a bit of patience. And I keep going back to, everything's going to be okay. And if you were someone that had, your life perfectly scripted, and this was the month this was going to happen, some of those things may change. But business will come back. Business will come back in different ways. And sectors or industries that you may not have been thinking about in the past are ones that may pop. So I just counsel patience and trust in some of the processes in your networks.
Right. Now, of course, if we look back pre-MBA at Wisconsin, you'd spent time with the U.S. Air Force. You'd also done a couple of years marketing summer camps. So this whole idea of mixing marketing, the science of it, and your personal brand. How do you think that graduating from one of the top skills that then plays into a personal brand that continues to extend to the next stages of your career and plays into the role that you now have with Delta?
Yeah, for me, it's I've been extremely fortunate, and that I've been able to work with organizations and be a part of, and with Wisconsin, organizations that I believe are values led and values strongly aligned with mine. So my first role in marketing, was doing marketing for summer camps. Probably the coolest marketing or brand development job I'll ever get to do. I was 22, 23, and I'd started, and we were creating a new video, and there was no brand framework, and I was like, I think I remember something from the one marketing class I took before that, and they gave me $100,000 to go redo this entire brand of these 100-year-old private summer camps, and that's when I was hooked on marketing. And that being said, I had the opportunity to build a brand that was completely anchored on values, and that is something that really took for me, and something that I learned to love and became passionate about. And that type of leadership, I think, at Wisconsin, and thinking about not just being values driven, but a business school and business approach that accounts for all stakeholders, whether it's your customers, your employees, the communities, and your shareholders and your owners. That balanced approach is something that was important for me at going through business school, and why Wisconsin was a great fit. And then Nestle being a fantastic global company that really has amazing people, and a bit of a humble approach, or stay the course approach, with the stability, was something that was fantastic. And then Delta Airlines has been, to be honest, the closest thing I've found to a sense of camaraderie since the Air Force. And it is a culture that is based on service, and based on delivering service and heart that goes above and beyond. And whether that's you're working on the front line, or you're in finance, or in marketing, it's an incredible culture of people that we always say that it's if you're talking about racehorses, these are horses that'll run until they die, and they just don't. You've got to actually coach and manage people to take care of themselves as well, because they're that passionate about the brand and all of our stakeholders. So as I think about that, I've been fortunate to have a multitude of experiences that have really helped shape kind of a values-based perspective in marketing and just running business in general. And that's been invaluable.
Of course, Wisconsin a couple of years ago ranked the #1 school for ROI in US News, and one of the top 5 schools in the country for marketing. So you're in a great place for beyond those sort of skills. What do you think you learned about yourself at a personal level during the 2 years?
Yeah, I think, to be honest, coming from, again, I grew up in the Midwest, rural Iowa. And so my exposure to large companies was nil, right? Like a large company in my town had 40 people, right? So for me, the idea of networking and what that can unlock was very foreign to me. And so for me, I always kind of go back to the #1 thing I learned, in addition to kind of the science of marketing, would be networking, and how to manage that network, and how to, share information across that network that really raises all tides, raises all boats. And so I think that was incredibly important. I had some really fascinating travel abroad experiences that were part of the Wisconsin program. So with the brand and product management group, we were able to go to India and meet with the Procter & Gamble's, Coca-Cola's, et cetera, in India. Just understanding how business, and whether it's supply chain or pricing or marketing, brand building, is very different depending on the culture, the market, the economy. Those are all things that I never would have been able to step into those, strategy sessions with the local brand teams there in India and Mumbai to learn about. And so that's something where I think talk about, seeing the world from another perspective, I think was huge in deepening that sense of empathy for customers and the communities we live in.
So with a magic wand, you're 22 years old again. You've got a worthwhile budget, and this time it's not summer camps, it's the MBA. You need to sort of share key messaging for the MBA. What would you include in that campaign? What would you want to convey about the MBA?
Yeah, I think, in general, for my advice on just going back for an MBA is, there's been a proliferation of business school programs and MBAs that are valuable. And so for those that are going back for an MBA, one, it's all about, and you said this a little bit earlier, you got to figure out what your objective is, and then that allows you to determine what your ROI is going to be, right? And so I always encourage folks, there's a great temptation to, go for a particular name on the degree, et cetera. But I think it's all about finding the program that genuinely fits you, where you are in life and where you want to be in life. And so that, I think, is kind of my heartfelt advice that I always give, and that helps kind of steer folks into one of the different categories of MBA programs there are. And then, and specifically for the Wisconsin MBA, I think it is all about, again, if you know the type of work you want to go into, and so you can say it is real estate, or it is this type of finance, or it is marketing or brand and product management, that type of a center approach with a specialized approach helps you get even deeper into those functions than you would in just kind of a general MBA. Which, again, a general MBA can be great if you're still kind of wide open on what you want to do. Consulting, that's great for those types of programs. So it's all about, I think, finding the right program that's going to match your objective. And again, so I think Wisconsin is all about specialization. It's all about going deep. It's all about small program, but global perspectives and global feel and global access. And then, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention just the city of Madison is not a bad place to go to business school. It's a fantastic town. I was just speaking with someone. I said I would move back to Madison any day. It's a fantastic town to spend a couple of years in business school.
Well, it's the most effective and certainly the most memorable marketing campaigns include the science that you picked up in the Wisconsin classroom, but they're also heartfelt and come from the heart. So whether it was Madison or just how it fit in, I'm really glad that you were able to share with us your personal experience. So Jake, I know that Delta isn't flying right now, but you're getting people to the front line and other initiatives that you're taking, to keep people safe. You stay safe too, and thank you very much for joining us for CentreCourt.
Absolutely. Thanks for the opportunity.